I was listening today to all the panels and discussions also in a background. I think that there is one word which I noted several times. It's Europe and more European approach, and I think this is a common thread among several topics. So one thing is that it's time to implement what we have agreed in the previous years on European Green Deal. We can call it now Clean Industrial Deal. We can call it certainty for investors, certainty for industry, and stability for also, for instance, revenues. But indeed, it's time to implement, and it's time to cooperate on implementation. It seems that there's quite a few interesting solutions already in place with first movers, with countries which were more efficient in implementing solutions, which we discussed today in industry, in buildings, transport. We can learn from each other. We can learn from each other to better implement what is already agreed. Second point, once again, Europe as a coordination. We heard today that it doesn't really make sense for us to implement only on a national level, just to devise everything on a national level, and then try to fit together the puzzles. There's a huge potential for this cooperation, coordinating infrastructure, coordinating our resources, pulling together our resources to achieve once again, one important thing, scale, which becomes very important in today's world when we compete with China, with the US. It seems that our individual country-level policies are no longer enough to be successful in that. But at the same time, if we cooperate, if we have more joint approaches, if we pull together our talents, our resources, we will be able to achieve our security goals, our energy and climate goals, and keep our social model. Another thing is, and no surprise coming from the think tank conference, I think that this evidence and being specific when we talk about the problems, naming the problems right, is important. I think this case of Northvolt was quite interesting. So moving beyond the headlines, moving beyond the buzzwords to understand what exactly was the problem, what was the issue, how we should correct our course when it's needed, while at the same time making sure that we do not squander the predictability of regulation and driving the investment. So I think that this attention to details, attention to specific policy solutions, to unearthing what actually worked and what didn't, it's really important if we want to move forward together as Europe, as a sustainable Europe. Then I think that we need to still remember about the social aspect, just fair transition aspects. This was also mentioned today several times about how some of the solutions may work for middle class or for industries, but remembering about the importance of introducing solutions which are acceptable for middle class and are improving competitiveness of industry. We need to also remember about people and regions which can't be left behind, and we can't just afford to lose the sight of them. Otherwise, we also will not be a Europe which is together and which can actually deliver on its targets. And one more thing about this perspective of Europe as a solution. I think it goes beyond sectoral policies. We have discussed today several policies, but in the end, I think it comes back to more cross-cutting issues like fiscal rules, like macroeconomic policy, like this common market cooperation. Do we pull resources together? How we approach the common European rules? Do we actually utilize this common resource which we have, this European cooperation? And I think on that point, I was really happy to see that there were some disagreements today during these discussions, that we've seen there are differences between sectors, between countries, because I think it's Maybe we talk about the differences a bit, like not enough. Sometimes looking only for solutions which everyone agrees on can actually counterintuitively leave us in the bad spot, because in the end, if we want to move forward, sometimes we need to list our differences and have a package which maybe results in some pain or some inconvenience for everyone, but on aggregate moves us forward. And I think if you read the Draghi report in a bit detail, this is something which I think it's also evident there that we need to move forward. We need to look at big picture, and we need to do something. Once again, another quote from Draghi recently. So when we do something, I think we need more Europe, and paradoxically, not only more evidence-based Europe, but also more political Europe. So pulling together these differences to have a joint solution on a political level, on evidence base, but maintaining these long-term targets which are in line with our social, environmentally secure Europe. So with that, I would like to thank everyone for contributing to today's conference. And without taking too much of your time, I would like to invite you to continue the discussions in the sidelines of the conference. You will see coffee, tea, refreshments, and I hope that you will leave Warsaw with new contexts, new perspectives, and quite a few interesting debates and disagreements, productive disagreements. Thank you very much.